behind the wheel of the brand new Audi A3. Apologize because my second GoPro didn't charge overnight for whatever reason, so I only got one point of view. I hope it's okay, and I hope I can catch the most important thing about driving this car. As a reminder, that's the 1.5 liters, 150 horsepower petrol engine, 4 cylinders. So obviously this is not a sport car, so don't expect any stellar performances from this car, but I have to say, from the first kilometers I've driven this morning, it is a quite decent engine. Cylinders on demand, which means that on certain situations it can disconnect some cylinders to save a little bit on gas. So what I can say right now is that I feel very comfortable, probably because of the S-Sport seats and the S-Line interior that is very, very sporty looking, even if this car is not sporty by any means. But I feel quite good into the cabin of the A3. Let's go now on dynamic. So we got efficiency, comfort, auto, dynamic and individual. If we move to dynamic, everything gets stiffer. So let's go also on sport mode. Actually, it didn't go on dynamic. There you go, now I'm on dynamic. Suspensions here are standard, so there is no changes. If you move on dynamic, suspensions stays the same. The steering wheel and the throttle pedal becomes stiffer, and the gear selection, it's also more dynamic. It is a very quiet drive, very comfortable. You don't hear very much outside noises into the cabin, and even the engine, it's quite okay. You do hear it, of course, but it's not annoying. This is what I don't like about the S-Tronic. You see, I accelerate up to 50 kilometers an hour and it stays in second gear, and the engine is revving very high. I had the same experience on my old Audi A3 with the same S-Tronic gearbox, and I didn't like that. I don't like the logic of the S-Tronic gearbox, but it is what it is. So with the new gear stick here, you cannot go manual as you used to do in the previous model, where you would push on the right and you could go manual. Here it's only automatic, and if you want to go manual, you have to select the gear with the paddle shifter on the steering wheel. So this is a little change from the previous version. So I'm in manual now. There's no need to do 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in this car. I don't even know the figure and I don't think it's relevant on this kind of cars. But let's try to accelerate. I'm at 30 kilometers an hour. Ooh. Of course I knew that. No huge performances on this engine. If you want some decent performances, you have to buy the 2 liters petrol engine, or you have to wait for the S3 and RS3 that are coming. The handling is quite good. 19-inch wheels on this car. And when you go at a higher speed, then you start hearing the engine into the cabin. It's a small engine. And if you want to go automatic again, you just switch once for S Sport and once for drive, for the normal drive. Let's stay in Sport. This car is very good if you drive it mostly in town, but if you are seeking for some performances, I don't think it's the right engine for you. Still, I like that in this category you get a lot of options that are normally for higher class cars, like the huge touch screen with Google Earth. You can have the head-up display. This model doesn't have, but you can have it as an option. Bang & Olufsen sound system. The 3D camera, this car doesn't have. But I have to say that compared to the previous generation, it is a huge step up in terms of modernity, in terms of comfort, handling. So definitely I like this A3 and I would recommend it if you are looking for a compact car, same size as a Volkswagen Golf. So whenever you want to go manual, you just change gears with the paddle shifters on the steering wheel. You don't need anymore to move the gear selector, you can't move it. You get options like the camera that is reading the road. You get options like the camera that reads the road signals. You get the adaptive cruise control. So you get really quite a lot of options on this category, which is kind of unusual. We're gonna go on the freeway now and see how the A3 behaves. I do like these air vents. It's a cool design. It makes the dashboard looking very sporty. So we're entering now the freeway. Let's push it all the way down. It is limited to 100 kilometers an hour here. So as you can see, the S-Tronic pushed the gears very high in the revs, and then the engine becomes quite noisy into the cabin. That's the price to pay if you want to have a small engine into a car like this one. But other than that, driving on the normal speed limitations, it is quite a decent drive on the freeway. The acceleration is decent. No more. Now you can see the ambient light. Quite good, not as advanced as some higher models, but it is okay. Hello? Ciao.
Ciao. Ciao.
One gripe about driving this A3 is you got no place to rest your hand when you are driving. If you're not driving with the two hands on the steering wheel, let's say you want to drive a little bit chill, relaxed, usually you rest your hands on the gear selector. And here on the A3, and it's the same for the new Golf and for the new Skoda Octavia and all those cars of the same category, there is no place. So either you put your hand here and you put a lot of fingerprints on this part of the center console, or you rest your hands on the passenger seats. Another gripe I would have talking about the cabin of the A3 is the S-Sport seats. While they look really good, and it is an option that I would definitely take, because I always think form over function, they are not comfortable because if I want to put my head on the headrest, integrated headrest, then I have a position that is not natural for me. Even if I go a little bit further with the settings, then I end up driving like this with my head not resting. I guess you can't have it all. So some twisty road ahead. You really have to push this 1.5 liters engine if you want to get some things out of it. But the handling is very good. It feels quite sporty, and you probably ended up regretting not having a bigger engine if you choose this 1.5 liters engine, because the handling is really good. I'm on dynamic now and it's quite good. So can't wait to see to drive this A3 with bigger engine, or possibly the S3 or even RS3. So in conclusion, what to say about this Audi A3? If you forget a little moment about this specific 1.5 liters engine, I have to say that it's a pretty sweet combo. You got a very sporty appearance. I quite like the exterior of the new A3. It is way sportier than the previous generation. The same things can be said for the cabin. It looks way better, way more modern. If you wanna still have an Audi in this segment, but you don't necessarily want a big engine because you are mainly driving around, this is a very interesting combination. Now, if you want to have an A3 with a decent engine because you like to push a little bit, or you are driving quite a lot on freeways, you may want to consider the turbo diesel engines or the 2 liters petrol engine, waiting on some more choices coming from Audi for the A3. I personally wouldn't take this engine on this car because it is not powerful enough, if you ask me, but still quite good. I like this new A3, definitely. Let's have a look at the fuel consumption. As you can see from the beginning, this car has 961 kilometers. The fuel consumption is 7.8 liters per 100 kilometers. And if we look at what I did with my trip this morning, so it's the same, it's 7.6 liters per 100 kilometers. I drove a little bit of everything, a little bit more than 2 hours, and this is the fuel consumption.